You have to challenge people to take charge and take control, especially people in leadership positions. We give our leadership people a great deal of responsibility, and they almost always step up to that responsibility. And very quickly, you'll find out if they're not meant for leadership because they fold very quickly, or they have to ask too many questions. They can't take charge without full approval. And that's okay for a little bit, right? That's okay for a little bit because they maybe came from a situation where they couldn't do anything on their own, right? They had to get approval. Their previous boss, they had to get everything rubber stamped, and they had to ask 5 times, and get a yes every single time before they could move forward. So you have to be a little bit patient with that. But if that person can't get beyond that, they're not the right fit for our culture, at least. We want people to take charge. We want people to really step up and come up with good solutions. So we're going to ask those questions, and we talk to our people like they are the best people for the job, not us. And it's true, quite frankly. Like, I think about our assisted living properties. We hire people that have been in the industry for a long time, that really know and understand the industry, and for whatever position it is, right? And so when we have somebody that's asking us questions, we say, well, you're the expert. What solutions can you come up with that's going to help our company out? That's going to help whatever problem that we have, right? You come up with the solutions we need, and then let's talk through those solutions. And when we talk through those solutions that they have, we then will go, okay, these sound really good. Now, which one is your favorite go-to solution? Which one do you think is going to work the best? And we allow them to make it. And now it could fail. And if it fails, we come back to the drawing board. We go, hey, what went wrong? Right? And how can we fix that? Or maybe we have to pivot. Do we have to pivot and go to a different direction? Right? And so it's just to ask, again, it's the same thing. It's asking questions, it's directing, but it's trusting in the people. Look, if you own a company and you put the wrong people in place, that's your fault. Yeah. And you owe it to those people to put them in the right place or get them off the bus. So if you want to be a good business owner and a good leader, get the right people in the bus, and put them in the right seats of the bus, and allow them then to do their job. Like, allow them to actually take charge. And I think you're going to have a lot more success.
Yeah, so. I completely agree with that. And it's the culture side of the house, I think, is unbelievably important in business. And you mentioned it even at the beginning, like even in the family, it's super important to have that culture. Like, who are we in our family? What does it mean to be a Dexheimer? What does it mean to be a Labar? What is it that we're striving for? Core values and all of that stuff. And I beat that drum a lot on this podcast of we're focused on that in a lot of our businesses. And here, what are your core values for your business and all this stuff? But do we do that for our families? Like, are we making sure that all of us are on the right page? Now, we run EOS in our education company, so it's like right person, right seat. Do you get it? Do you want it to have the capacity for it? Is how EOS kind of makes sure that people are in their right seat. We can't say whether or not a family member is in the right seat because they're in the family. Like, this is just what it is. But we can push that culture and say, look, like, this is the way that we are in this family, and while you're under my house, like, this is the culture that we have, and this is what we're striving for, and this is what we're going for here. And try to help them participate.
Responsibilities, right? Yes. You're giving them responsibilities. Yep. You're challenging them to go beyond their current limits, right? You are trying to get them to be leaders and not just followers, right? So you're still doing some of the same thing. It's not that you can, change who they are and get them out of the house, get them out of the family, but you're still pushing them and you're still guiding them. So a lot of the same things. And the culture of the family, I think, it's just so important. And I think a lot of families, a lot of kids, and I don't want to blame parents for bad kids because it's not always the case, right? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So, if you have a kid that's whatever, messed up, for lack of better terms. It's not, I don't want to say it's all your fault. It maybe isn't, maybe isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think it's so important to have a culture, a family culture. We talk to our kids about our expectations, and this is what the Dexheimers do. Like, this is, hey, you made a bad choice, and that's not how Dexheimers act, right? And so we will try to set up, and we're not perfect by any means, but we try to set up a culture in our family that we think our kids should, or our whole family should follow. And we make plenty of mistakes. And I don't know, the story is yet to be told on how our kids turn out. I think they're going to turn out great. I think they're going to be amazing adults, and I think they're going to run awesome businesses. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, time will tell. All we could do is all we could do, right? And push to do it. In the grand scheme of things, the way I kind of look at family as a business, right? And how each one of my kids is their own little business, and I'm the CEO of that business, right? And in the grand scheme of things, I'm responsible for whatever happens while they're under my house. Eventually, they're going to be their own CEO, and they're going to go out, and hopefully, I'm just a sitting on the board of advisors and loving my life as a board of advisors guy, and they call me whenever they need me, and they can run their own life. But while they're under my house, like I'm the CEO. I'm responsible for what happens, and I need to make sure that that business is operating the way it's supposed to be. So
I think that's such a valuable. I think that's such a valuable mindset that you just said right there. Look at yourself as a CEO of your family, and dads need to step up and be the CEOs of their family.
For sure.
Like, there's too many dads, in my opinion, that are just not in charge, and they're just they sit back, they let mom handle it, or they let the kids run the show.
Yeah.
And that is not a good place for dads to be in. And I think there's way too many dads in this country and across the world that are like that are just not engaged with the family, that don't have a backbone, that don't stand up for things, that don't run and lead their family. Men should be leading their family. I firmly believe that, and I know it's old school thought, but I firmly believe that men should be leading their family and be in charge of their family. And I'm not saying that you're stepping all over your wife and you're not allowing your wife to do anything. No, you're still the leader, but you and your wife are working together. Okay. So that's valuable. Right. But I think there's way too many men that aren't doing their job as a parent. And that's really a disservice to the family.
I completely agree. And I think society has set us up in a way to, demasculate the men anyways, right? And they don't want to do that now because they don't want to be toxic, and they don't want to be looked at as a terrible person, and as a sexist whatever, by being that male who's leading. But it runs better if somebody is leading, and it needs to, and in my opinion, again, I hated I've said it 100 times. So it just, the way you, when I heard it this time, for some reason, I heard it differently when you said that it's old school. And I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be a way that we could word that that's not old school, because that would imply that's no longer a relevant thing, right? But it super is. It sounds like it should be from the 60s, because that's the way the culture right now has said that it is. That's super, that's from the 60s, the man leading, of the 50s. We don't need that anymore. We need just, whatever. Well, that's gotten us to where we are, where, over 50% of kids, or somewhere around 50% of kids, are being born to a single parent household. Well, because we don't have men who are leading anymore. We don't have men who are taking claims of their mistakes and saying, "Hey, I did this and I'm responsible." We've completely allowed for a lack of responsibility for men, which leads to a bunch of craziness. It just boggles my mind. I think we need to have men across the board step up a lot more and lead their families and lead. And again, like you said, it's a I like the image of this guy I used to listen to. He'd said that Eve was taken from Adam's rib because that's where the woman belongs, right at his side. It's not behind you. It's not in front of you. It's at your side. You guys are running the family together, but there has to be a buck that stops somewhere. There's a president and there's a vice president because it stops with the president. Like that's where it's at. There's a CEO, there's a COO, but it stops with the CEO. There's got to be somewhere where it stops, and somebody has to lead it. So step up to the plate and lead your family. Be the leader of your family and lead the way it should be led, not just this passive nonsense that goes on today. It drives me bonkers.
When you don't
speaking of driving me bonkers.
Sorry. When you don't have a strong male in the family, I think that's where the family falls apart. And that's a generalized statement. There's certainly probably great families without a strong male character, but I don't think that's the vast majority of the cases.
Yeah.